All right, let's get right into it. We're going to unpack the truly shocking story of how one of the biggest pop stars on the planet was systematically silenced and controlled for more than a decade.
It's the
It's the
question
question that just baffled the world for years, right? How does a global superstar, an icon, end up as a virtual prisoner? Well, the answer is way more complex and, honestly, more disturbing than you might even think.
So to really understand what happened to Britney, you first have to get your head around this legal tool that was used against her. It's called a conservatorship. Now, this is a legal arrangement that gives one person, the conservator, total control over another adult's life and finances. And I mean total control. It's typically only used for the elderly or people who are so severely incapacitated that they can't care for themselves.
But here's the thing. This wasn't some normal conservatorship. For Britney Spears, it became a legal prison. And it wasn't built when she was in decline. It was constructed at the absolute peak of her fame and her earning power.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates the insane paradox of her whole situation. I mean, on one hand, the world saw her as capable enough to perform sold-out world tours, to record albums that went multi-platinum, and to earn hundreds of millions of dollars. But at the exact same time, the law saw her as so incapable that she was forbidden from driving her own car, banned from choosing her own lawyer. She couldn't even buy a cup of coffee without asking for permission. Just let that sink in.
So how on earth could a situation like this even get started? To understand that, we have to look at a very key figure who, according to many sources, showed up right before everything completely fell apart.
You know, even before this conservatorship was officially a thing, Britney herself was sounding the alarm. In an email to her lawyer back in 2007 about a woman named Lou Taylor, she wrote, "Who is this woman trying to force her way into my life? I want her to leave me alone." It's pretty chilling. She clearly sensed something was very, very wrong from the get-go.
And what's really striking here is that Lou Taylor seems to have a bit of a pattern of getting involved with celebrities right when they're at their most vulnerable. Sources allege she actually tried to place Lindsay Lohan under a similar conservatorship, and singer Courtney Love even publicly accused her of a wicked plan to get her money. Taylor's company, TriStar, also managed other massive stars, which just raises a lot of questions about her influence in the industry. Now, the timeline is absolutely crucial to understanding this whole thing. We're talking leaked emails that suggest Lou Taylor was already discussing the conservatorship with Britney's parents way back in 2007. Now, keep in mind, this was before Britney's very public struggles in early 2008, the exact events that were later used as the reason for it. Then, by late 2008, boom, the court officially puts Britney under her father's control. It really fuels the theory that the crisis was used to push a plan that was already in motion.
So, that brings us to the public face of this whole arrangement, the man who held absolute power over every aspect of his daughter's life, her own father, Jamie Spears. The financial setup here is just staggering. Get this, while Britney was working herself to the bone, she was given a small allowance from her own money, about $8,000 a month. Her father, Jamie, he paid himself a salary of $18,000 a month, and Lou Taylor's company, TriStar, they were guaranteed a minimum of $500,000 every single year.
And that financial picture gets even more insane when you look at this number, $300 million. That's the estimated amount Britney earned over 13 years of non-stop work. We're talking tours, albums, and that grueling Las Vegas residency.
So what was TriStar's cut of that massive fortune? 5%. A 5% commission on nearly all of that income. Sources estimate that this added up to at least $30 million, flowing directly from Britney's work into Lou Taylor's company.
And it is so crucial to remember this was never just about the money. The control was absolute. Jamie Spears could dictate her medical treatments, who she was allowed to see, whether she could get married or have more kids. He had to sign off on every single work contract. It was total, suffocating control over her life.
But look, a father and a business manager, they couldn't have pulled this off alone. Not a chance. They needed the legal system to not just allow it to happen, but to actively enforce it.
Her basic, fundamental rights were just stripped away in a few key moves. According to sources, the playbook was something like this. Step 1, force Britney into a second psychiatric hold to make it look like a huge crisis. Step 2, convince a judge to waive her legal right to have 5 days to object, a critical safeguard that was just gone. And then step 3, the court appoints a lawyer for her who allegedly just collaborated with her father instead of actually fighting for her freedom.
And that court-appointed lawyer, he walked away with $3 million from Britney's own estate, all while allegedly never telling her that she had the legal right to petition the court to end the whole thing at any time.
This really brings us to one of the most baffling and still unanswered questions in this entire saga. Why? Why would a judge agree to waive a citizen's fundamental rights and sign off on a conservatorship for someone who is actively performing and working at the very highest level of the entertainment industry? It just doesn't make sense.
For more than a decade, it really seemed like there was no way out. It felt impossible. But the truth? Well, the truth has a way of coming out, thanks in large part to the people who never, ever stopped listening and fighting for her.
Her freedom wasn't won in the single moment. It was this powerful combination of different forces all coming together. You had the absolutely relentless fan advocacy of the #FreeBritney movement, a game-changing leak from inside the system, and of course, Britney's own powerful testimony in court.
The real turning point, the moment everything changed, came in 2019. A recording was leaked from a paralegal who had actually worked on the conservatorship team, and it confirmed everyone's worst fears. This anonymous whistleblower's message was the spark that turned what so many had brushed off as a conspiracy theory into a verifiable global news story.
And when Britney finally got the chance to speak for herself, in her own words, in court, the reality she painted was even darker than anyone had imagined. She said, "They used medication to control me, to make me feel drunk. These drugs destroyed my mind." Her testimony was just this harrowing account of medical control and abuse.
So yeah, Britney is free now, but her story has ripped the curtain back on this whole system of control and potential financial exploitation that exists in Hollywood, and it forces all of us to ask a pretty chilling final question. Who else might be trapped in a gilded cage that we just don't know about yet?